Sup everybody, Peepo again, and today's video is actually going to be about how to prevent your pocket from lipping or clicking. Basically that means that the ball's coming off of the top here, so the ball goes straight through your pocket, up through the pocket, past the shooters, and hits off the plastic or clicks off the plastic, goes straight into the ground, or it goes exactly where you want it, but it has that noise or however you want to describe it. It's pretty easy to have happen, and a lot of people have been asking me about it, and it is part of my list, and I decided that it would be a good thing to hit on because it also brings in a couple different aspects, not just clicking and stuff, but it also brings in a couple other aspects such as the definition of the pocket. A lot of people are always asking why traditional pockets don't have to be as tight as mesh pockets, and so we're just going to kind of get right into it. Pretty simple solution to that: string the pocket mid to low. A lot of people are always like, I want a high pocket, I want a high pocket. I've said before in another Method Monday that your traditional pockets are naturally going to shift a little bit higher. They're not going to get super high or anything like that, but it is going to get to where if you string the ball right here, it's going to shift higher. So don't string a super high pocket in a traditional. It's really not that beneficial. It doesn't really make anything good come of it. A lot of people are always like, I can string a high pocket in it, and then later on down the road the thing just falls apart or creates way too much whip. We're not here to bash anybody right now, but we are here to solve the solution or solve the issue that comes with lipping or clicking, or however you want to describe it. So rather easy right off the bat, string a mid to a mid-low pocket. If you want a higher pocket naturally, just string a solid mid where the ball is just sitting right in there in the middle, and from there you actually want to, like I said before, also break in the pocket, break in your forming and everything with the bat and everything like that before you put any shooters in. Okay? Put all that, put your work into the pocket, your initial work into the pocket, and then add in the shooters. That way it's just like with a mesh pocket, where as you're adding in your sidewalls and everything, you're building the shape of the pocket, right? You're just building the shape of it. And then from there, you're adding in your whip, you're adding in your hold, you're adding in your drag, all that stuff, your speed, everything. You're adding that in by putting in different shooter setups. So how is it any different if you're putting in shooters into a trad? It isn't. It's not that much different. The only thing is, you really shouldn't use U's or V's in a traditional. You can, but I strongly don't recommend it, because how the pocket's formed and how it's designed, it doesn't need them. It just needs straights. And if anything, you might as well get used to using straights anyway with the rule changes coming on. But so add your shooters in after you form the pocket. Your very top shooter, nylon, lace, whatever you plan on using for that top shooter, should be as tight as possible. So whether you're just doing a simple single weave, double weave, or you're doing old school like this, where you go back and forth once, so it's once over, back over, and then wrap around that string. Either way, if that top string should be as tight as possible. So when you look at it from that side hole, that string should go straight across. That's another thing that you want to kind of just go into to prevent that from happening. Next, and this comes into the creating of your channel of your pocket. Everybody's always like, oh, look at the channel on my pocket, it's so tight. If you have to have a tight channel in your traditional, which you do not need a tight channel in your traditional to have more hold than any mesh pocket because of interlocks and everything like that, but we'll get into that later. But so for this part, I don't have a symmetrical pocket to show you what I mean, but just kind of imagine that this is a symmetrical. Both are starting from the top and going down. When you are going down, it's just like in a mesh pocket where this top section, the very center, can be as baggy as you want, really kind of as baggy as you want it. But if you want a defined pocket as well as to prevent lipping and have the same sort of idea as your mesh pockets, where that top section right here, where you're pulling down those first couple interlocks or whatever you want to call them, all those knots, those first couple knots are pulling that mesh as tight as possible to create that channel. Same thing applies to traditionals, but it has a dual thing where it prevents it from happening. So when you formed your pocket, or while you're forming your pocket, if you're stringing around your ball, or as your traddy tree, or on your traddy tree, which I'll be doing a video on that later, whatever you're stringing around, as you're stringing these outside sections, string it about as tight as you can. Not to where it's tugging the leathers, we've already talked about that, not to where it's tugging the leathers off to the side, but to where it is creating this, to where this side string, let's see if I can show you, this side string right here is pretty much going with the leathers. It's not coming out or anything like that. It's going with the shape of how you want the pocket. And if it's not, tighten it a little bit more. And especially if you're going to be doing a symmetrical pocket, it doesn't really work as well with an asymmetrical pocket, but with a symmetrical pocket like a PETA or a Tradex or anything that where if the center is the same and then the sides are exactly the same going up or down, this works great with those pockets where you tighten down this top outer section. That negates a lot of your lipping and pretty much makes the pocket go down just a little bit, but it makes this have a more smooth release while still having that little bit of snap because of that top nylon. So just kind of mess with it a little bit. Don't think that my one answer is going to give you exactly what you want. It all kind of works together. And another thing is you can't necessarily treat your shooters the same as you would a mesh pocket. With a traditional, I've noticed, and I've done for a long time, that a lot of people like to have just stacked shooters one after the other, and that kind of negates the effect that the pocket's supposed to have on the ball. And that's when I've seen a lot of people having the lipping and clicking and everything. So try and mess with your pockets to where it has different shooter setups, where it has one lace or two laces that are just nice and spaced out, maybe one row of interlocks spaced between each other, something like that. A lot like with your mesh pockets, where you have your nylon in one row and then you skip a row and then you go into another shooting nylon or a lace. Or like with me, I do double skips to more feel like a traditional, because let's face it, I like traditionals a lot. But so that's just another little thing that you want to mess around with. There's no surefire answer to how to fix everything. The thing is, you have to practice. You have to just keep doing it and do different heads. Do different heads to kind of get the feeling of how one thing affects one head or one pocket, anything like that. Don't think that you have the answer right then and there. The thing about traditional is it's not the same as mesh. I can't hand feed you exactly what you need, like a pattern, the perfect pattern for your sidewall. That doesn't exist with a traditional. I don't care who you are, that does not exist. So take your time, mess with all the different little things that I've suggested, and just go about your business and string up a beautiful traditional pocket. That's pretty much the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. Leave a couple comments on what else you think I should talk about. Or if you have just a question about one little thing that I've been talking about, I'll do my best to answer, and I'll catch you guys later.